Once you are logged in, you are going to use the Submit New Request button to create a new request. First thing you see at the top is a template, and that you can actually create templates here if you do a lot of these, but most of you will probably not need that. Instead, you could copy the existing trip. So the first thing you need to do is put in a field trip name. Now remember, anything with the red asterisk means that it's required and you have to fill it in. The rest you don't have to. So the field trip name recommendation is that you're going to include the grade and you're going to include where you're going. So maybe it's a 7th grade school forest or high school trap team or something like that you would put in as the field trip name. This is also going to help you because in your listing, if you have a good name as the title of it, then you're going to see that readily on your screen. For the school, you'll use the drop down and pick what's available to you. Now, when your account is set up, this is predetermined for you as far as what schools you'll be working with. And the same with your department. That will be pre-selected when your account is created. So some of you may have more choices than what I'm showing you here. Now you can skip the activity and then the contact information. Obviously, this is going to be your name. And for your phone, it's recommended that you use your cell phone here. It does require that you include the area code. If you don't, it'll make you go back and put that in and then be putting in your email. From there, you need to put in your departure date. So you can either type it in there or you can go to your calendar. Now, if you notice, if I would put something in for a couple of days from now, I'm going to get an error here that says departure date must be on or after 4/10. So we need to fill out these requests at least 2 weeks in advance. And if you have a last minute request, then you need to contact Monica or Liz in the bus garage to schedule that for you. So I need to be at least 2 weeks out on there. And it's automatically going to put in the return date of the same day. And if you're going on an overnight, you'll need to make sure you change that and then put in your departure time as well. From the departure, you want to, again, use the drop down and choose where you will be departing from. You'll notice that some of these seem like they're very similar, like high school and high school athletics. So if you are a sports team, please choose high school athletics. Otherwise, choose high school. Same with middle school. Again, if there are any special circumstances, things that the transportation department or the driver should know, please put that in the notes. And then with the destination, you're going to want to put in where you're going for this. For your convenience, several destinations have already been added to the choices in the drop down. And so if you choose one of those, that information will be filled in for you. Please be complete with your address information. Now, this other contact information, if you have that for a contact person on the other side, you can certainly include that, but it's not required. Notice that none of these have a asterisk on them, so they're not required to put in there. Now, you are required to put in the number of students that will be going, the number of adults, how many wheelchairs, and then if you know the number of vehicles, you can put that in here. If you have any questions about how many buses you might need for this particular trip, then you can put those in the notes down here. So if you aren't sure, if you're taking a whole class and you're not sure how many that you're going to need based on capacity, you can put that in here and Liz and Monica can help determine that information. Some of this other information like invoice, assigned resources don't pertain to you. You can just save this. You can do save and close, or if you aren't going to do this at all, you can close it and it won't save it at all. I'm going to choose save and close on here. Now what you'll notice on your main screen then is you'll see that new one that you just added and they're color coded. So what's happening is when you enter a request, that's going to get sent to some administrator to be approved. And so right now these are just sitting here waiting to be approved, and then the next level means it's been approved by my administrator, and then it's going to the transportation department and they will approve it. So when I see the green box, that means all is well and I'm ready to go for my trip. Now, if I wanted to see specifics on this trip and maybe I forgot some things about it, I could certainly scroll over and see more. but I could also go to the detail view. One way of doing that is right-clicking on the trip and going to detail view, and that's going to bring up all that information for me about my trip. Now, what happens if a trip changes and it's already been approved? I'm going to close this one out. But if I have a trip that I just submitted and I realize I put something in incorrectly or I need to adjust it, I can select the trip and I can right-click and edit the trip, and I can make changes to it. However, once it's been approved at any level, level 2 or into the green, if I select it, you'll notice the editing trip is not possible. So in that case, if you had a change that was needed, you would contact Monica or Liz. Unlike the Google form that we had been using in the past with TripFinder, you only need to put in one request for the trip. Even if you need 4, 5, 6 buses, you can do that all in one request. And again, remember, if you're going to maybe put a trip in and then a month later you're going to put in another very, very similar trip, you can select the trip, you can right-click, and you can copy the trip and just modify what needs to be modified and then send it in for approval.